Another thing that's been coming to mind for me is of course, the LSAT going digital this year. And I know that that's more my side than your side. But the reason I bring it up is that a lot of applicants are a little bit nervous about the transition towards the digital LSAT. And they're perhaps worried that if they take the digital LSAT, let's say this fall, and their results aren't as good as they would otherwise be because there's less prep material available for that format, would that impact how someone like yourself might look at LSAT scores this cycle?
Well, I got to tell you, this is the first time I'm hearing I know about the digital LSAT, but really hadn't thought much about what your question and about the concerns that prospective students might have. Generally, I would say, though, as a general rule, we're going to put a lot of weight on the higher LSAT score. So if somebody takes the LSAT and for whatever reason doesn't score well, either because they were sick with a cold or the flu or because it was the digital LSAT, they're welcome to include an addendum with their application indicating what was going on, what their concerns were. On our application, we actually have a specific question which says, is there anything you want to tell us about your standardized test taking? So I would encourage anybody in that situation to then take it again and to get the kinks out, so to speak, and then to be able to explain that to us. And I think we would be understanding of that. Law schools are, again, speak for law schools, but for us, we're going to put a lot of weight on the higher score. That's the score that if you enroll, we're going to report to the American Bar Association. I don't think folks should be too overly concerned about that.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. So it sounds like folks could write an addendum, but also the answer is kind of just retake, get the higher score, get used to it, and because that's what you have to report.
Exactly. But I appreciate you. I'm going to think a little bit more about that. I hadn't really thought about that concern. So
yeah, sure. It's kind of just a funny time with this transition this year. A lot of folks are like, I want to take it in June and get it over with before it starts the transition towards digital. And other folks are like, it's not that big a deal. So applicants on all sides have different perspectives on it. But I think,
correct me if I'm wrong, don't students taking it at a certain administration the first time, won't they have an opportunity to find out their score and then have it canceled?
Yeah, so there's a funny thing happening with the July LSAT in particular. Yeah. Half of test takers will be assigned the digital, half will be assigned the paper. They don't get any advance notice. And wow. It's crazy, right? And then whichever one the applicant gets, the test taker gets, they can still see their score before deciding whether to cancel.
Got it.
Which is kind of a nice little olive branch. It's sort of a feel-good thing. I'm thinking back to like SAT score choice.
Right.
But as you're saying, though, at the same time, though, you do consider the higher score. And so for that reason, I would imagine that there's not an enormous benefit to even a cancellation because you can always retake.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I would add the caveat, though, just as a general, sometimes we see people that are applying that have taken the test maybe 10 or more times. And I think there becomes a point where, quantity is not a good thing, even if there is one score that is significantly better. So I think you need to, unless you really enjoy taking standardized tests, you really need to be prepared when you go in, but hopefully it makes you feel a little bit better to know that it's not everything riding on that if you don't have your best testing day, if you know that you're capable of performing better based on your practice test, then you give it another shot, or maybe another shot after that. But, hopefully 3 times will be the charm.
100%. Definitely. I think that there's a ceiling. You certainly don't want to have 10 or more takes on your record. But I'm also thinking about how previously I've seen the typical applicant maybe has taken it 2 to 3 times, at least the ones that I come across. But with the LSAT being offered with increased frequency going forward, it used to be only 4 times a year. Now it's going to be 9 or 10 times a year. I'm wondering if that may increase the average number of takes for a given applicant, and if that would then on your end increase the number of takes that you consider to be reasonable.
It may, and I think, as I said, I don't know why somebody would really want to put themselves through that so many times. I think you really want to go in when you're 100% ready and prepared, knowing that if it's not your best day, you can do it again or maybe one more time. But I don't think it reflects well, at least from our perspective here, our admissions committee, when we see somebody who just keeps taking that test over and over again.
Certainly, yeah, there's definitely a limit. I think we agree on that.